Well, hi there. So John Cleese is one of my all-time favourite comedians. He was absolutely f***ing legendary in Monty Python and pretty much everything else he's ever done. The bloke's 82 years old and just does not give a shit anymore. He says what he means and I love it. He's become somewhat of a J.K. Rowling in recent years because he states his opinion. The guy's 82 years old. He's got no reason to skirt around the truth. So last year he got in trouble with the mob for defending J.K. Rowling herself in a series of tweets. He opened up the melee by saying, "I'm afraid I'm not that interested in trans folks. I just hope they're happy and that people treat them kindly." Yeah, fair enough. Right now, I'm more focused on threats to democracy in America, the rampant corruption in the UK, the appalling British press, the revelations about police brutality. And this little eggcock says, "I'm not psychic, so why don't you be up front and tell us your thoughts on JKR's position on trans folks?" John responds, "Deep down, I want to be a Cambodian policewoman. Is that allowed, or am I being unrealistic?" He follows up by saying, "Yes, my understanding is superficial. One thing, when a woman who was once a man is competing against women, who have always been women, I think she has an advantage because she inherited a man's body, which is usually bigger and stronger than a woman's. Does that prove phobia?" And this little punce responds, "Try being a trans, non-binary or gender non-conforming person, especially black or brown ones. Alone, in a rural town or anywhere in the world. The J.K. Rowlings and John Cleeses of the world could never. So cruel to constantly punch down onto a marginalised group of people." And then there was that time he was called a racist because he said London was becoming a less English city. Here it is here. He says, "Some years ago I opined that London was not really an English city anymore. Since then, virtually all of my friends from abroad have confirmed my observation. So there must be some truth in it. I note also that London was the UK city that voted most strongly to remain in the EU." Oh God, John, such racisms. Oh my God, you need to be cancelled. And then there's this latest soiree of him talking at the South by Southwest festival, and the Hollywood Reporter or whatever the some kitschy entertainment publication, totally misconstruing what was meant to be a joke. Anyway, we'll have a look at that right after this quick sponsor. If you think today's technology is bad for privacy, virtual reality will be a nightmare. Along with being addictive, virtual reality is perfect for tracking everything a user does, sees, and feels in the virtual world, which will all be used to tailor laser-targeted advertisements towards them. This is why I won't get online without VirtualShield VPN. Otherwise, my private data can be vulnerable to tech companies and hackers. I highly recommend VirtualShield. Obviously, they're a long-time sponsor of the channel, and they are just great. VirtualShield are offering 50% off this month, plus a free 30-day trial for all new customers. Just go to hidewithbear.com or click the link below to start your trial today. John Cleese responds to claim his mic was taken away after slavery joke. John Cleese has responded to yesterday's 15th of March reports that he had his microphone taken away at an onstage event after making a controversial joke about slavery. The comedian and actor was attending a John Cleese in Conversation event at the South by Southwest in Austin. That's a festival, as I understand. On March 11, alongside comedians including Duchley. What does it mean when an E's got a f***ing comma above it? It's like foreign. Duchley, we'll call him Duchley Sloan, Jim Gaffigan and Ricky Velez. The Monty Python and Fawlty Towers star asked his fellow panellists who was more oppressed by colonisation and started discussing competition between cultures. People get competitive about this business of being oppressed. They sure do. It's called the Oppression Olympics, John. You do know the British have been slaves twice, right? Yeah, I think most races have been slaves at some time in the past. So when it comes to this issue of reparations and colonisation and who did wrong to who, I mean, how far do you go back? Now, apparently this was a joke on Cleese's part, but according to the Hollywood Reporter, Sloan then took away Cleese's microphone saying, "I saved a comic whose career I respect." Cleese continued regardless, adding, "I want reparations from Italy." However, Cleese and moderator Dan Pasternak have now claimed the microphone removal moment was done in a comedic manner, with the latter calling it inspired and hilarious. As reports of Cleese having his microphone confiscated began surfacing online, the actor wrote on Twitter, "Next time the editor of the Hollywood Reporter sends someone to review a comedy festival, he would do well to send a reporter with a sense of humour. Otherwise it's like sending someone deaf to review a concert." Cleese has since tweeted a further 7 times on the subject, adding that the ridiculousness of the comparison was the joke, and describing the event as a hugely affectionate laughter fest to one user who suggested Cleese should have been better at reading the room. Yeah, see, they're referring to a user of Twitter, who, dare I say, was not in the room. Now, there's no video of this, so how the does he know how the room read him? All he knows is what the Hollywood Reporter cock said. So this Sajid merchant responded to John Cleese saying, "John, I love your humour, man, but mockingly comparing getting reparations for things that happened 1,000 years ago to things that happened less than a generation ago is a flawed comparison, but you do you." Yeah, see, that is that classic Mott and Bailey argumentation technique. Less than a generation ago. Get The African American argument for reparations is based on slavery, which ended in what, 1865 or 1863 or something like that? And here's this guy saying, oh, it was less than a generation ago. So what he's talking about is Jim Crow. Now, if you said to him, do you really want reparations for like a law, a Jim Crow law? He'd say, no, of course not, it's for slavery. Well, then it wasn't a generation ago, was it? You dishonest head. Anyway, John Cleese says, quite right, Sajid, but that was the joke. The ridiculousness of the comparison was the joke. But if you lack the sense of irony, you might not realise that. But that's not a good reason to deprive people who do understand irony of a good laugh. Anyway, at the end of last year, Cleese said he was planning on making a formal complaint against the BBC about the deception, dishonesty and tone of an interview he did with journalist Karishma Vaswani. See, London's no longer English. The comedian veteran is set to release a documentary about cancel culture titled John Cleese Cancel Me in November 2022. Well, I look forward to that because it's going to be legendary, because John Cleese is a legend and he says it like it is, and I love that. Anyway, this has been Bearing. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Won't be long. Ta-ta. Goodbye.
Recession, session.